Hello, Whovians, and welcome back to Doctor Who Discussion, the audio and visual podcast. Video's better than audio. Audio is really good because you can hear me as loud as fish and chips when seagulls eat them. Very odd. Anyway, so today we're doing another episode of the Doctor Who Discussion. This time I brought along another fantastic YouTuber in the roster of many fantastic YouTubers out there in the Doctor Who universe. When you get out in the Doctor Who universe, you have odd YouTubers and a lot higher ones, but the Doctor Who universe is the place you want to be. And today, I'm here with a wonderful YouTuber that can spend hours talking on one subject, and I wish he would. It's Joe Brennan.
Hello, howdy. Nice to be here.
Yeah. Now we'll begin with the age-old question: where did your love of Doctor Who begin?
It began with a spin-off series called The Sarah Jane Adventures that I watched on CBBC when I was 8 or 9, and I turned it on. It looked good. There were aliens. I'm a big Star Wars fan, and I was like, this looks, it's not Star Wars, but it's aliens and stuff, and it looks fun. And so I watched Sarah Jane Adventures religiously. I ate it up, and I think I knew in the back of my mind that it was connected to Doctor Who, but I didn't care, and I didn't feel the need to watch Doctor Who as a fan of Sarah Jane Adventures. I had, for some reason, I thought I wouldn't like Doctor Who. I don't know why. I think now 2007 Blink aired on television.
Fantastic episode.
And I was very young at the time, and in the playground at school, people were all talking about the Weeping Angels and how terrifying they were. And I was like, oh my God, that sounds so scary. And so I just thought Doctor Who was really scary. And I was just like, I'm not a horror guy. I don't want to watch a scary show. I'll stick with Sarah Jane Adventures. And then,
some had borders on it, on scariness. The 11, I don't remember the exact episode, but the dolls that kept on going, tick tock, those
Night
as
terrors.
A small child, they would also become scary. And then Listen is another one up there that would scare small children.
It's just, there are some creepier episodes, but I thought that was every week. I thought every week I would be terrified. So, so I watched Sarah Jane Adventures until it finished in 2011, and I was very upset that it ended. Obviously, it ended prematurely, and I was heartbroken. And so I think about a year later, I hopped on the Doctor Who train because my mum said I should. I started with Asylum of the Daleks with the start of Series 7. And then there was a gap, wasn't there, between 7A and 7B?
Yeah.
And in that gap, I went back and watched Christopher Eccleston through to Matt Smith Series 6, and kind of was suddenly like all at once a Doctor Who fan, I guess. Like there was no kind of period where I was just watching casually. It was just like as soon as I was watching, I was a fan. Like I think I had to catch up with, what was it then? 6 years of content.
Wow.
Was it 6 years? Yeah, all at once, and and so I suddenly had all the I was freaking out about Doomsday. I was freaking out about David Tennant's regeneration. All of that, all in 2012 at once. Just kind of having to go through all the stages of Doctor Who fandom. But and then like looking on Instagram and Tumblr at people who've been making memes about this stuff forever, and I felt like I'd missed out. But and then since then, Doctor Who's been, one of my things. I'm not limiting myself, but I love it.
And as of right now, as of the 10th of August, do you currently own? Because if people want to do this visually, you'll be able to see my background. But do you own the complete box set of Sarah Jane Adventures?
I do not.
DVD?
I don't own any physical Doctor Who or Sarah Jane Adventures. I know it's a shame. I feel ashamed, but also they're very expensive. And I to be completely honest, I don't watch a huge amount of Doctor Who or Sarah Jane Adventures for pleasure anymore. Like I watched it loads 5 years ago.
And remember it off by heart.
Yeah, I think so. I think that was like, I just had those few shows just running on repeat.
Yeah.
And then I dipped my toes back into Sarah Jane when it was on BBC iPlayer. In whatever that was, 2018. Me and my friends at school, actually, where we had a free period of lessons where we could just hang out and do work. But we, those for the audio listeners, that was do work in inverted commas. And that was when Sarah Jane Adventures was on iPlayer. So every week we would just watch an episode or two of Sarah Jane and just worked our way through that first series, which was really fun.
What when it was on the iPlayer, I spent a whole summer. Well, not a whole summer. It didn't take me 6 weeks when it's all the Sarah Jane Adventures. A week and a half at best, and then not so long ago, I think it was a few years. It was probably the summer of 2019, and then rewatched Sarah Jane Torchwood, then Sarah Jane Adventures, because I have, if you audio listeners, I'm looking at my bookcase, but at the bottom of my bookcase, I've got the box set that I got. I'll move my mic out of the way for a second. It's at the bottom, and I'll pick it up actually, audio listeners. I'm sipping away from the mic. Ow. Let's not hurt myself, shall we? Right, audio listeners, I've got a box set of series 1 to 3 of Torchwood in a fancy box. So this is the box set.
That's a nice box set.
And it has them all there. But I got it from the Doctor Who Experience.
Oh, yeah.
And then, because it was available. And that summer, then I bought Miracle Day. Right, audio listeners, I'm putting it right back. There it goes. And so I listened. And then we bought the Big Finish audios, but I never got round to listening to them. Now, have you got BritBox?
I did for a bit, and then I wasn't using it enough, so I just thought if I need it again, I'll get another subscription. But because
on the 16th of August, Sarah Jane Adventures is being added.
I've heard, and I think at some point that will be my go-to. Whenever I want to watch Sarah Jane Adventures, I'll just get BritBox for a bit. But for now, I don't feel the need.
Well, Sarah Jane Adventures was really massive, and I was watching a Thari stream the other day, and someone in the array of comments had pointed out that they released the unaired episodes script in a Sarah Jane companion edition of the Doctor Who magazine, which I've never actually seen. Have you read the unaired episodes?
I've read some of the concepts. I've read some of the kind of basic story ideas of. I made a video on the Trickster a few months ago, and there was a finale idea for series 5, I think, about the Battle of Bannerman Road, and that's the only one that I've really dipped my toes into, because that was to do with the character that I was looking into, and I think at the time I was kind of too young to be interested in that, and then Sarah Jane Adventures kind of went out of my head until quite recently. So,
well, I think if someone can listeners and viewers, your mission is to locate the episodes in a non-magazine format. Is I think as a community, as a Doctor Who community, whether or not on the Twitter thing or on YouTube, can come together to make them episodes in audio, because I think because what would be interesting is if we all revel together and get Sadie Miller on board to be, because she's currently playing her in Big Finish. So I think
isn't she? Yeah.
I think that would be a fantastic project to do as fans, because you don't have to have you can have Sarah Jane in it, or you could write her out, because in Farewell Sarah Jane, if we're classing that as canon, she's technically dead in the Doctor Who universe.
She is, yeah. Or ambiguously dead, with the Doctor coming to take her away. Who knows? Rani doesn't think she's dead.
So going on to the new series now, just really quickly before I get to my next bullet point. What do you think of the actress who plays Rani playing a massive? I think it was like a spider or something in series 11 or 12. She played a massive spider.
I didn't know this. I like a big spider. I like that spider episode.
I think it was the Nikola Tesla episode.
Oh right,
it was that one, and I didn't realize until someone had pointed it out, and then that was the actress that played Rani. And I'm thinking that's too much prosthetics to anyone to know that it's the actress that played Rani.
I like that Tesla episode. I don't really remember it very well, to be honest, but I remember enjoying it more than I was enjoying some of the newer stuff. But yeah, I mean, yeah.
And now here's a question. Would you, how many items would you need to beat the world record for the most Doctor Who items? Because there's a woman out there, or a child, she's still young, which is even crazy. She's got the world record, and she put it on Facebook that last Christmas she got a life-size Dalek and a life-size K9 in a room.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have room for that? Like that, once you've put a life-size Dalek in your room, you're kind of taking up valuable bed space.
Her room doesn't look big enough, but what I've noticed is that she has now almost completed the Classic Who collection of single DVDs. I've not seen her having any of the collection box sets, but I haven't seen that she's got any big finish. So someone that's got every big finish and everything she's got, but will have world record. Do you reckon you can you know anyone that will be able to break that world record?
I don't think so. I mean, a lot of the people I know just, they might have a sonic screwdriver toy, they might have a mug, they might have a few DVDs, but I don't think I or anyone else I know is anywhere near the the world record.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Now you made a video most recently, not strictly on the topic of Doctor Who, but I'm going to turn this question into the topic of Doctor Who. What's your favorite Doctor Who special feature, or like special features? Because you run about how the special features are slowly dying down. What do you reckon is your favorite Doctor Who one, if you've seen any?
Yeah, I mean, I spoke about bonus features and DVD extras and specifically behind the scenes content, and how great I think it is to give people that insight. And I mean, Doctor Who, I think the best thing Doctor Who did in the Russell T Davies era and at the start of the Moffat was just Doctor Who Confidential.
Yeah.
And obviously I wasn't really watching Doctor Who when that stuff was happening, so I've gone back and watched it, separately, like as its own kind of thing. And it's just great. And I think as a child, it's something that I really would have loved. And I wish we had something like that now, more than, I think there's a few YouTube featurettes before certain videos. I know there were, I don't know, throughout series 8 and 9, it all kind of was, reduced and then disappeared.
And then they had the fan show, which is
sometimes doing sometimes doing that kind of thing, sometimes not. Even then, I take the fan show coming back, like, even though that was not what I considered the ideal, companion piece to the show, I think it's better than nothing, and it's better than what we have now. So, that
ended out the blue. In my opinion, that should have stayed around. But I don't know what prompted Crystal to leave the fan show, but I reckon that should have stuck around, because the last thing that it was going through a weird phase from once Peter Capaldi's era was over, it was going through a weird phase of it not knowing what it is, and then it reacted to the announcement and then just vanished and then said goodbye without any thought. And then the Doctor Who YouTube channel is now just a bunch of clips,
just newly HD versions of old clips as well. I think with the fan show, I found some of it a little bit obnoxious. However, it felt like I had as a viewer, pretty constant contact with Stephen Moffat, because he was always being interviewed. And I don't know who Chris Chibnall is. I've never, who is that man? And I think if I was seeing him, weekly or bi-weekly, and he was always had something to say on the Doctor Who YouTube channel about the episodes he was writing, maybe I would understand his process a bit more, and I'd have that level of attachment to him as a writer and potentially his Doctor Who. So I think it's such a valuable part of the show that right now that box the itch just isn't being scratched.
And I think Chibnall is more of a secretive man, because Broadchurch, there was never anything of like, you never found anything out beforehand
No.
with Broadchurch, and then you didn't know anything. But going on to Broadchurch for a brief second, because have you seen the American remake of Broadchurch called Grace Point?
Grace Point.
It's got David Tennant in it doing the worst American
A
accent I've
very
ever
bad
heard.
American accent.
I mean, he can do him really well, but not in that.
I haven't seen it. I think I watched a trailer when I heard it existed
Yeah.
and couldn't believe it. And I still forget that it's real. And I can't imagine it was much of a success. But
No,
I don't
that's
know.
the one series.
Can Americans just not understand the kind of Broadchurch accent? Is that why they couldn't just release it over there?
Well, they did on BBC America. So it was on
Right.
BBC. It was on BBC America, and they thought we'll make our own, change the
Yeah.
name of the town, and then just nab David Tennant, make him do an American accent that he probably didn't want to do. Play the same role, different, same character names, exact same, and you can now watch it along with the US version of Primeval on STV, which is a Scottish version of ITV, but it's free in the UK.
Wow.
Mm.
Well, it sounds great.
Yeah. Now going back to Doctor Who, now that we've talked about the poor accent of David, because David Tennant, if you didn't know he was Scottish, in Doctor Who he did a fantastic English accent.
Yeah.
Just fantastic.
He sounds very good.
Yeah. But what is the first ever piece of merchandise you ever bought for Doctor Who?
The first piece of merchandise I ever had was a sonic screwdriver toy I was given as a child.
Which Doctor?
It was 10. I think it's 10. I'm just having a glance over at it. It came with the psychic paper.
Oh yeah.
You could write in invisible ink and shine it, and and it would show up. Great toy. I was not a Doctor Who fan. They just thought because I was nerdy that I was one. They were just like, he looks like a Doctor Who fan. He likes Star Wars. That's the same thing. And, so I think that was the attitude towards me. It was like, Joe's one of those nerdy kids. He'll like that. So, and then the first thing I ever bought. Do you know the Forbidden Planet? I don't know if they're Forbidden Planet exclusive. I think they are. The T-shirts that have the Doctor Who costume patterns on.
I think they are Forbidden Planet exclusives, which is quite a shame because they're really, really nice. They look really nice, but they're just too expensive.
Yeah, I got a lot of those when I was like, I don't know, 13. Yeah. Which was annoying because I got them as small T-shirts that I then grew out of, and I spent all that money on T-shirts that I now just cannot wear. And
I had some that had like all the Doctors on it, and I feel like with the one I had, I feel like the design was too high up.
Oh right.
There's some design that it was like you to look at the design if you wanted to, you have to bend your neck and just look right down and think, oh, there's that one, that one, and you'll hurt your neck from looking at it. And I feel like with Doctor Who merchandise, a lot of it needs to remove the banner of limited edition. So the Doctor Who, a lot of things now are like, quickly get it now, or else it'll go out. and it hurts. It hurts people's wallets. People cry. You can see people having mental breakdowns because of it. It's just horrendous.
There is a panic on Twitter whenever something good is being released. It's just like, oh, I've got to buy this, haven't I? It's just like because they're excited, but also it's going to cost a lot of money and they won't be around forever.
Now, speaking of things that are slightly too expensive, what's your thoughts on the Big Finish, Doctor Who? Are you not into that?
I have dipped my toes into Big Finish once or twice. No, you know what? I've listened to a fair amount, but I think every time I speak to another Doctor Who fan, I think I've not listened to any because of how much there is. And like I've listened through, I've done the Paul McGann main range.
Yeah.
At the start, so from Storm Warning through to whatever, the ones that are on Spotify as far as the main range go. So I've listened to the Divergent arc. I've listened to, all that stuff with Keres and Charlie, and Zagreus is something that I have listened to 3 times, which I think makes me the best Doctor Who fan on the planet because I've stuck with that on multiple listens, and I do think it gets better every time. And I've listened to Light at the End, the 50th. I've just kind of dipped in here and there. I've listened to the first and second series of the 8th Doctor Adventures with the
there's too many audios. There's 275, I think, of the main range that Adam Martin, who was the first person ever interviewed, has completed that collection now of every main range.
Wow. Yeah, because I own CD copies of the first 8th Doctor Adventures, and that was such an expensive purchase that I was just like, I can't do this. I can't keep up. And then when I got Spotify and saw that all those ones were there for free, I was like, okay, I can make my way through those. And I like them. I think the most interest I have in Big Finish is the Paul McGann stuff, and potentially the John Hurt stuff, although I've not really listened to that. I think I listened to I don't know. I think I started one and then it just wasn't the right time to listen. But like for McGann, it's like, okay, this is this Doctor's era, right? The 8th Doctor exists in audio. And then when it comes to the others, it's like, okay, it's a bit of extra of Doctors I already know. I'm not against it, and I think some of the stories are obviously great. I have listened to Spare Parts. I think that's a great Davison story, but I think I'm not grabbed by the idea of more Tom Baker, more Sylvester McCoy. I think they had their runs, and that not in a way of like this shouldn't even exist. I'm glad that those fans get that. However, I don't have the time or money to kind of sink my teeth into everything. Although actually Colin Baker is really great in Big Finish.
He is. His voice is very powerful.
And the characterization is just so right. I think it's some people say he was fixed in Big Finish, but I think what they did was they took the best parts of him and the moments in the show where he was at his best and used that to define the character in Big Finish. I don't think it's like brand new characterization. It's just really strong. Because Charlie, the 8th Doctor's companion, goes from the 8th Doctor to the 6th Doctor. I've listened to all those because I wanted to follow Charlie's story. But I when I speak like this, I feel like I've listened to loads, and then I will see like a list of what's it, Dark Eyes, and then there's all this. There's the Companion Chronicles. There's 4th Doctor, 5th Doctor, 6th, 7th. It's all so much. And now Christopher Eccleston, which I've not been able to listen to. Have you listened to that? Any of that?
I've heard the beginning bits of the 9th Doctor stuff. I have it on vinyl, which arrived the other day, even though we bought it in like May. And it only arrived Sunday as we're recording this. And then I've pre-ordered the second one. But the first ever Big Finish I listened to was like the 8th Doctor's Doom something. I don't think it's Doom Coalition, but it's Doomsday Volume 2. The first thing I ever bought, the first thing I ever listened to was the second volume of a story. I did that as well with John Hurt. I bought the second one instead of the first one because I didn't know much about Big Finish and that, but now I listen to buy them off the Big Finish website if the price is cheap enough, and then listen to the digital version to keep it in its sealed wraps, and it's worth more later on because I like that. And then if I bought it from Amazon, I just take the wrapping off and listen to the CD part because they're really good. But the stuff that's available for listeners and viewers, the stuff that's available on Spotify for free, is also available on Apple Music for free as well. So you're not missing out anything there. And the Big Finish also have a load of free extracts and bits and bobs from all their franchises, not just Doctor Who, from Sherlock to Jerry Anderson to the hours and hours and hours of Dark Shadows you can listen to. But you go through the last on CD and you have to scroll for 3 days before you get to any Doctor Who stuff because Dark Shadows is involved. But did you know that during the Wilderness years, Colin Baker did a sort of did do Doctor Who himself So someone produced Doctor Who for VHS, but it wasn't called Doctor Who. It was called something else, where he was playing the character, but legally had a different name. Have you heard of these?
Yeah, I've heard about the kind of wilderness years, Doctor Who, but not quite Doctor Who things. I think Quinton Reviews did a video on something similar, or
Yeah.
I think he made a video just about Doctor Who knockoffs, and in that he covered the semi-official kind of, it's not quite a knockoff, but it's also not official. All right, so I think that was my experience with it. Occasionally, it will show up in a meme or on Twitter clips or out of context screenshots, and it's always fascinated me, but not enough to actually investigate, I suppose.
And then with Dark Eyes, which you mentioned before, I think that's a little bit odd to me, because on Etsy, which they've made a replica of the Dark Eyes sonic screwdriver. Well, I don't know how people can listen to it and think that's how it looks and get it like really official and bang on. Or is it on the? I've not actually listened to any Dark Eyes. Do you know? Is it on the cover? Is this Sonic on the cover?
I think it's on the cover. I've got a few. I think they did a photo shoot with Paul McGann that has just become his like default look. Before Night of maybe before or after, or at some point, like that was the go-to Eighth Doctor look. It was movie, Dark Eyes, and then Night of the Doctor, and now it's, I guess, a variation on that, forever. And I think there's a sonic screwdriver. I don't know. I know they designed an official sonic screwdriver for the Time Lord Victorious stuff, and they made that available. And they were just like, look at this new sonic screwdriver that you may hear in audio and read in books. It's just a kind of a weird thing that's like you'll never really see it, but I guess it's kind of cool.
The character option, they make toys out of the audio sonics because they'll make more money on that, because people just flock to it, like parrots or pigeons, or whatever type of bird that flocks to things, because one thing it's like one thing gets released and everyone just like and flies to it and like, we gotta get this quickly, and then eBay's like, woo, it's all on eBay. But now going to more of a human based thing. This sounds weird, but how many doctors have you met? How many doctor actors? Like, it doesn't have to be official doctors, it can be non-canon doctors.
I have met one. I met Peter Davison at a local convention. Let me think.
I thought you were going to say a local Tesco's.
That would have been more exciting.
Yeah.
I met Davison. Let me think. No, I'm not. In my head, I should say something else, but no. I mean, I did Time Fracture, and that does that count? Does that? I went there, and there's a video message from a doctor or two. So I've met those, but they were behind a screen. So
they were trapped for safety measures. If didn't attack them.
I'm sure they're there. They're doing it live every time. They're just in another room. It's not pre-recorded.
They've got the lawyers to get restrictions on the fans, just in case then they don't get harassed. But you can see it in my background slightly because I had to move the image. But I met Colin Baker.
Colin,
yeah. I met Colin at one. I think it was one of the. It was a Comic-Con. It wasn't one of the big ones, but it was one of the smaller Comic-Cons. And we bought like it was a birthday treat for me. We bought one of those, like, oh, you get this really exclusive thing, and all it was like a 2-page leaflet. You had to pay a little bit more for a 2-page leaflet. My dad asked the person, said, "Is this it?" And they went, "Yeah." And it's like just 2 pages. Well, I did end up getting the photo framed, but when you meet him in person, he's very nice. But he doesn't seem as healthy as you may think. He was shaking a little bit, so he is on the turn. But he did 5 celebrities go caravanning on Channel 5. That he was one of the first ones to do that, and he seemed all right then, but I think like most of the actors now, I think he's on a turn. I don't think he'll be with us much longer.
Well, I mean, that's just kind of the reality of being a fan of a show with a 60-year history, I suppose.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, it's already happened throughout the
yeah,
years, but I do get the feeling. I think a lot of those classic Doctors are similar ages. Like,
yeah,
I think because the ones who were earlier were younger, and then they got older as it
yeah,
got later, so they've all kind of
yeah.
ended up around the same age.
Mm,
And yeah, I guess it's going to be a strange few years. I'm kind of bracing myself for that as a Star Wars fan as well,
yeah.
because obviously Carrie Fisher passed away in 2016, but it's
She broke the
like
clock.
it's really only
Yeah,
only a matter of time, and I'm not ready. But
yeah.
yeah.
Well, that same day when we were in the queue, we were in the queue, and sometimes I said to myself, I'm gonna go in cosplay, but then I never do.
Mm.
And we were still in the queue, and I did see Tony Robinson who walk past. I was oh, that's Tony Robinson. He was just walking past. When oh, he's small. He's quite small in real life. No, this is not to be Doctor Who, which to be fair, he should be in Doctor Who, but he was just quite small. Funnily enough, but what is your favorite experience in the Doctor Who community? Whether it's people meet people in real life, people on Twitter, or YouTubers you made friends with over the years.
I mean, I've just had loads. There's, I've had a great experience on Facebook in the Doctor Who meme group that I'm in and part of. Like that's just been consistently funny
Mm.
for about 4 years. Um, I guess. Are you familiar with the Scongo joke?
Uh,
Um,
yes, yes,
yes.
I can. Yes, I
I
am.
think one of my favorite things to come from that, I mean,
Yeah.
briefly, me and my friends and the good people of Doctor Who TARDIS posting pretended. Oh, sorry, I've just knocked something over. We pretended that there was a classic Doctor Who villain called Scongo, and we edited him into all kinds of episodes and changed the wiki and did all kinds of things to pretend that Scongo was real. And it was just a picture of my friend. It was just an edited picture of my friend, to have his nose kind of point down like that and his smile come up like that. And
We need
to
audio
then see
editing.
people take that and make fan art and memes and act like he's real for all kinds of people, it became way bigger than myself
Yeah.
and way bigger than my friend who created the original image. And then suddenly, I remember in 2017 just getting a notification and just being like, Joe, Peter Davison has just said that Scongo is the best villain. And I opened my phone, I was like, oh my God, he has. And then throughout the next months, Colin Baker said it, and Sylvester McCoy, David Bradley, Paul McGann. I think Paul McGann did it. And it's just John Leeson, Fraser Hines, just and the Slovene lady from series one. Just it was we had
Yeah.
so many, and I think that must be the best, I think.
Yeah.
And then the first YouTube video I made was last year in around March. I was basically like, because I think Scongo became so complicated and had such a complicated thing that's like, well, there was this picture and we were in a Doctor Who group, and it was just like, I was just like, I need to make
Yeah.
just a nice, easy to follow timeline of events that takes us from beginning to
Yeah.
end. And
Yeah.
I made that video and I made a kind of PowerPoint that explains the whole history. And that was my first video and it did really well. And it kind of gave me my foundation in YouTube that
Yeah.
I've now, springboarded from.
Well, I reckon from it being really popular, I reckon that there's a market there for a Doctor Who fan audio where it's like the life of Scongo, just like what he gets up to every day, like before he goes off to work to fight the Doctor, he just has his milky brew with PG tips, and every time he drinks it, he goes monkey and drinks it.
I do think that if anyone, I just get a feeling that if what usually happens is, former Doctor Who fans go on to write for Doctor Who, and be the showrunner.
Oh
And
no.
I just have a feeling that at some point I'll be watching Doctor Who in 20 years and the Doctor will just offhandedly mention the time he or she fought Scongo, and I will just be, the happiest man on earth, because there are just so many people that are in on the joke at this
Yeah.
point that it would be, I'd be surprised if it didn't happen. But
Well,
yeah.
we need going on to my next question. We need a Doctor Who fan universe. Now we've got a Doctor Who universe, like as it is in the show, but the fans need a separate universe where every single fan Doctor in audio form, because it's quicker and easier to do it in audio form than the visual, because there is so many, whether they're good, whether they're bad, or whatever, needs to come together when it is the 60th anniversary. Needs to do a massive thing. So we need to meet the Doctor DW 2012 doctors and all their spin-off doctors like Doctor Who Velocity, Doctor Who Fractured Timeline. We need to meet Whovian Chasers doctors. We need to meet the special doctor that I've been doing over on this channel. More information on that as I develop more into that project. Playlist to watch all those. It's called The Secret Project, and we need them all to come together to make one massive adventure. And the main villain needs to be Skungo. It'll just wrap off the 50th anniversary. We'll do it when it happens. But that needs to happen. We need the Doctor Who community show, which is Jack, which is a fantastic YouTube series, by the way. It needs to advertise it. He needs to be involved, and we need to get everyone involved. That just needs to be a massive thing.
No, that sounds really fun, because I know it's a huge part of the show and the fandom is people just making their own. More than any other kind of fandom that I'm part of, Doctor Who fans just want to make Doctor Who. Like most Doctor Who fans I know have been involved in some kind of fan audio or fan drama or fan film, whatever, or comic, novel, fan fiction, whatever. I think it's incredible. Like, I mean, just yesterday I narrated a audio drama for Rassilon Productions, a story that he'd written about Dr. Moon from the Library two-parter, and I think that's out today. But
I'm going to listen to that, and there will be a review on that, because that does sound incredible. Because you've got a soothing voice well enough to be audio. you could just have a podcast called Sounds by George. You're saying all your favorite words like Skungo, fish and chips, fish fingers and custard. Harry Hill has got nothing to do with Doctor Who, but he is Harry Hill. Like soft words, because that's gonna be really interesting. But I'm working on a few Doctor Who projects that will not be mentioned Yeet. I've never said that word before. I've never understood that word. Right. Anyway, which will not be mentioned within this podcast episode, but I will tell you afterwards, because you will be interested in it. So I will tell you afterwards, but you guys will find out sooner or later. Now, going on to fan productions, what's your favorite fan film?
I don't know.
There's so many.
There are so many. There are none that spring to mind as like, I don't have a particular emotional attachment to any. I've watched a few over the years, but I have to admit, while they're all great, there's none that I'm like, that's my go-to. I will rewatch that for the rest of my life. It's just there's no, I mean, it's not necessarily fan film, but the best kind of Doctor Who fan production things that I know are the songs, are the Doctor Who parodies or Doctor Who musical songs or original songs. I made a video on that a couple of months ago, and I think
I do know which video you're on about.
So like Five Who fans did a couple of just kind of parodies and songs.
They're incredible.
All in character, all filmed really well. What else? I guess there was the Doctor Who the musical experience or something that was an American guy, and it seemed in New York, and kind of wrote this original this original like musical theatre style version of Doctor Who, and it was great. And they stick in my mind a bit more, I think, because it's the catchy song rather than just a story. I love the creativity there.
Yeah, there's another musical. I don't know what it's called, but it was on Mr. Tardif Review's live stream recently. He did series 1, and then he did Love and Monsters the musical. Have you heard those? It's one where it's like a little bit It's like when it's him animated them and it's him talking.
Oh, poorly animated Doctor Who.
That's it. That's the name.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's Kane Unable.
yeah,
Lovely, lovely fella.
yeah,
I believe. Yeah, seems really nice.
yeah. But
Is
they're really good.
yeah, I've you know what? Yeah, that's another
Uh,
one of those things that sticks in my head because it's like, I mean, I love fan films where we've got someone dressed up as the Doctor running around in a Doctor Who location, but to be
yeah,
completely honest, a lot of them do blend into one. Whereas when you're doing something so unique, like a poorly animated one, or an animation in general, or I know there's a lot of Doctor Who Lego
yeah.
stop
And
motion
a
animations.
Doctor Who animation, Doctor Who Adventures, they do really good animation
Yes, yeah, and I think
videos.
that's a really great way to
Yeah,
stand out as a Doctor
unique.
Who creator, is to kind of pick a thing and do that thing really
Yeah,
well. But there will always, as I said, there will always be merit in dressing up like Doctor Who and running around
yeah.
quarry with your friends. Um,
Because one of my favorite fan films, like franchises, because it is a franchise now, is DW 2012. Now they're the only ones I've seen that I've thought were except, and they were like TV level. So I
mm,
think that is DW 2012 themselves, Doctor Who Velocity, Doctor Who Fractured Timeline, and there's like the Irish Doctor. There's others, but the Doctor Who Velocity. There's a whole video that I'm yet to watch that I really want to watch that I'll probably watch later today. It's about how they got Ace involved, because Ace was involved when when the Velocity Doctor ran to the phone box and got help from Ace,
all
and
right,
so they had Sophie Aldred's voice, and there was a whole video of explaining how they got there. But
that's really cool.
I really wanted to interview Sophie Aldred so much that I sent the request, but never going to reply. Same with Joe Grant,
Katie Manning.
Gator Manning that day, because I asked Josh Carr, who still needs to reply to my direct message on Twitter. He told me what the best way is to get hold of her, like what to say to her, and she never got back to me either.
I'm sure. Uh, Probably, to be honest, they all probably get quite a few
Message.
requests for things like that, and it's a matter of kind of timing and luck with whether you get in there first,
Mm,
or because sometimes the attitude is, well, if they did a podcast with Tharies, they'll probably do one with me. But then there's the idea that, like, if they've already done one with Tharies, they might not want to do one, not because Tharies has put them off, but just because they're like, oh, I've already done a podcast. I've
yeah.
done the podcast. I've done that. I think that could sometimes be the attitude, that it's like,
Mm,
rather than because one person did it, it is obviously possible. It may
yeah.
be that because one person has already done it, they're not going to do it again. So who knows?
And now going on to I was about to sneeze there. But going on to audio listeners, my face turned because I didn't want to make my microphone full of snot and it'll just make the audio sound weird. But what going on to non-canon Doctor Who. Now, when I say non-canon Doctor Who, I don't mean fan production. I mean Doctor Who that was produced by televisual companies or filmed and that. And what's your favorite non-canon Doctor Who, which is like so, for instance, Rowan Atkinson's one of them.
I think Rowan Atkinson must be the best. I think that whole thing is just fantastic. That whole story. I think Jonathan Pryce as the Master is so good. Like, unironically good. Like, it's not a parody. I think Rowan Atkinson is hardly a parody either. Like, I think it's a bizarre thing where, like, they're clearly joking and they're making fun of the show and how camp it is, but at the same time, it is also quite good.
Yeah.
like Jonathan Pryce, especially, like that, just pluck him out of there and put him anywhere else as that Master, and he's great. He is Anthony
He,
Ainley, Roger Delgado level,
he needs to be
probably.
masterful. Should have been in masterful.
Yeah, no, completely. And I think, I think all the other fun regenerations in that story, the Curse of the Fatal Death, or the Curse of Fatal Death, or whichever way around that is. They're all kind of joke ones. They're all kind of fun. Joanna Lumley and Hugh Bonneville and Richard E. Grant is in it, and Hugh Grant, and I think that they're all just kind of fun one note characters. But Rowan Atkinson's doing something there that is actually quite interesting as a doctor.
If you didn't know it was a comic relief sketch, you would just thought, oh, I missed this episode.
Yeah, or at the very least, you would think this is a doctor who has come back for a comic relief sketch, and as if this is a doctor who exists in a series somewhere, and he's just being used here in a comedy.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know if he took it seriously or if the writing took it seriously, and it's not too serious, but at the same time, that's a good doctor.
The woman that plays the companion is really good as well. You would see her as a real companion.
Yeah, no, I think she gets the energy and the vibe just right for such a kind of small thing, I guess.
But the best bit is the fact how I've travelled back in time even further than when you arrived here, just so I can do this. And then he's like, no, I've gone even further back than that to get to here. But then I've gone further, and that bit is what makes it funny. But I reckon, I'm saying this thought today, but I reckon Big Finish would easily get the rights to that and be able to make a full series and make all the fans happy. Because Rowan Atkinson does a lot of audio these days, doing the audio version of Mr. Ming, going in a recording studio in the middle of London.
And then they reuse that for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's always fun to explore that kind of territory of kind of known but not like fully explored and fully expanded ideas. I think it's there are a lot of areas that I think it would be fun to see fleshed out.
Yeah, and so going back to your YouTube channel is one of those channels that I always wish there's more videos on. But when I found you, I just found you out of the blue. Your videos were just so in detail and so incredible. I had to pause watching classic Doctor Who whilst I just sat there and looked at it and went, ooh. And then it made me want to rewatch the episode. So I thought, no, I'll wait, I'll be patient. I'm still watching classic. I'll be patient. I'll rewatch Twice Upon a Time another time. and your style is a style that a lot of people try to do, but don't always work. And I like the element of you just sitting there with a microphone in your hand, because that makes you look like you would work. This YouTube channel would work perfectly on stage, like doing a TED talk about Twice Upon a Time. You could just, all you have to do to improve is walk across on a stage, like walk from one end to the other. That's all you have to do to change your thing up, and you're like a TED talk, but it's who TED Talks. That's a really good idea. That someone should do that at the end of the Fringe.
Yeah, a live show, a live video essay.
150 odd quid for Edinburgh Fringe 6-night run to do a Doctor Who talk show.
I performed at the Edinburgh Fringe, and I did a play in 2018. It was with school, but it was really fun. And annoyingly, they did, and there was a little team there doing an improvised Doctor Who episode every day, where the audience would give suggestions on the setting or the alien or whatever, and they would have to improvise that. And I really wanted to go, but it clashed with the show I was putting on. So but
schools should do that more, like because it's a good thing to learn how to be on stage, and I've had a look at it. I want to perform the Edinburgh Fringe myself, doing a few things, but I've had a look. You could be any age. I've worked out as well, but I had a look at how much it is to do one show. You're spending £73, but you're spending over £100 to do the whole from the 6th of August to the 30th of August. You're spending over £100 to perform at this. No one might. You might spend all this money and no one may show up.
No, it's true.
Yeah, and I love the idea of improvised Doctor Who. I so wish someone filmed it and put it on YouTube. That would just be incredible, because there was fan-made musicals, like low-budget musicals, like the Hollywood show did Rocky Horror's Time Warp.
They did,
Time Warp, and they did, and that looked incredible. I don't think she actually used her voice to record that, because it seemed to.
No, there's someone else doing the David Tennant impression.
Yeah, it didn't fit with her vocal range when she talked normally.
No. But yeah, I mean, my YouTube, it's a style that I've been developing. I've been only doing YouTube like in the video essay format since August last year, so I'm coming up on my 1 year anniversary of the channel.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get into the routine of one video every 2 weeks. But also, I started off as just a Doctor Who YouTuber, and since then I've branched out. I've made videos on Star Wars, on Marvel, iCarly, movie trailers,
Yeah, just all
bonus
these big
features,
all these
and
big franchises, and then
um,
iCarly just appears in the
I mean,
middle.
the thing with iCarly is I like the idea of just being able to make a video on anything that I'm interested in and
Yeah.
having a platform for that. And that's almost why I did iCarly, to just be like, look, I can do whatever, not in like I could do whatever I want kind of thing, but just like, look, this channel is just my head, what I'm thinking about in any given moment. And I like the idea of people tuning in to watch that, because but yeah, obviously Doctor Who is where I started. Doctor Who is something I'm still a huge fan of, so I will continue to make Doctor Who videos. I'm writing one, at the moment. I've got one coming out this Sunday, that I'm just finalizing the script for now. And I think I really enjoyed making those videos on the series 10 finale.
Yeah.
And I think I'd like to do something like that again. At some point, it was really, really draining doing like 3 30-minute videos on 3 episodes, 2 weeks apart for each of them. It really burnt me out, and I've not done a video like that since then. But I'm sure I'd like to do it again. I might do the series 9 finale.
Because your video style's really good, and I watched all your videos, not just the Doctor Who one, but the iCarly one. I started watching and then realized, then stopped watching it because I haven't seen the reboot yet. Because as of now, as of 2021, it's Paramount Plus available in the UK, but it will be available on Sky in the UK for free from 2022, which is part of Sky Cinema. They'll relink that because Peacock TV is coming to the UK this year,
right,
for free on Sky Q as part of a bundle, and so I'll end up watching that. But watching yours, and I think it's called Clever Dick Films, is another Doctor Who YouTuber that has a similar style on that. And with my videos, podcast aside, I try and improve things. Watching other YouTubers and Doctor Who YouTubers like yourself and other people, it's ideas come together. So like Max Fosh does the whole microphone holding and walking around and not in the same, not doing walking around talking to the public. And then Elle Mills does the thing where she's from one place to another and having the VHS style, which is a process that I so want to attempt, but it's so hard to do, and you have to think about it carefully. Is that my style is not the best because I film it at 6 a.m, which is quite early, and the videos are quite short because I just think the title, then roll with whatever comes out me mouth, and only add an intro. And watching your videos just makes me want to spend all the time, because I run, including the main channel, I run 8 YouTube channels.
Wow.
And funnily enough, I started my 8th YouTube channel about in February the 23rd, and it's already on 1.3k subscribers. And I've been doing this channel for about 5 years, ever since I moved into this house and I'm currently sat in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think just as far as styles go, for me, it's been a kind of a learning process of, I will try out certain things, they will work or they won't work, or there will be elements of them that I prefer, and I will kind of take that on board going forward. I've spoken a bit with a couple of other YouTubers. Full Fat Videos has given me some pointers here and there, and Houston Productions is another guy who really gave me some great tips on how to appear confident on camera. And I think that's something, it's all about learning and it's all about improving. And I've only been doing this for a year, and I still feel like I'm completely out of my depth. And when I got that one of my videos, the one I did on movie trailers, got 100,000 views, and I was just like, oh wow, crikey! Like I suddenly felt a lot of pressure, and I was getting loads of attention on my video. And as soon as that happened, I was obviously really excited, but I was also just mortified because I hadn't put as much effort as I could have into that video, and it was suddenly everyone was seeing it. And I noticed all the little imperfections along the way. And I noticed that my hair was really messy and I should have shaved beforehand. And I was just like, oh God, I've got 100,000 people looking at me and not my best.
Yeah.
And I've just kind of, ever since then, I was just like, okay, I never know how many people are going to see a certain video. So I will always put in the effort to make sure that it is the best it could be. Because I've always wanted to do YouTube. Like I've always been interested in it since I started watching YouTube. I've always wanted to be on it. But I just told myself that I didn't want to do it if it couldn't be good, because I thought my scripts were good. I've been writing for ages, and I thought, if the script is good and I'm bringing it to life with a really bad mic and a really bad camera and really awful editing, then it's not like I'm wasting the good scripts. So I waited years before I got this nice big computer that can handle the editing, and I got this nice mic, and my phone and my tripod and everything, and like it's all working quite well now. And I think I came off the bat at quite a high quality, which really helped at the start, because a lot of the time I will click on a video, and if it looks and sounds bad, I will click off. However, people clicked on me not knowing it was my first ever video, and they stayed with it. And I think that's something I would say is that, honestly, if you can fake it until you make it as far as quality goes, you'll go a long way, because like, you know, high picture quality, good sound quality is so important. And people, you know, it will make or break whether or not someone sticks with it. And so that's my experience of just maintain a high quality and then let the rest come afterwards.
Now if video of people are watching, you'll be able to see what I'm about to hold up. But this is a camera I use to film my normal videos. It's HD. It's an old HD now, but it still looks really good. And I use this to film my normal videos when I'm here. But when I'm doing on my one of my other channels, and I don't know which number, called Tom's Comedy Club, which is was a bizarre idea, but it's gone far. I have a web series on there, a web sitcom called Misadventures of Albert Flowerpot, and I use a proper DLSR Canon with a proper mic, and they look and sound really good. But this camera, if you look at it, and it's been in my family now for, I don't know, maybe 8 years now, it still looks and sounds incredible. It's a little bit broken because I took it with me on DV, couldn't open the actual lens bit, so we had to rip it a little bit,
right?
Because it wouldn't open, and we tried, and I tried to film everyone jumping, because they all didn't like me, so I just took in control of filming everything, and well, I didn't actually. They all thought of other ideas, but I edited it, and it worked out very well. But I feel like one of the ideas that I really want to do that I've just had now that'd be amazing would be at any opportunity I get to go to either a London Comic Con or New York. I've only been to London Comic Con once, or Gallifrey one. I would love to do a video where I talk about a certain topic and I get the fans' views on it. So you're out and about and you go up to a fan that's wearing a cosplay. First of all, ask them about the outfit, then ask them what their thoughts on a certain point in Doctor Who. Like what Linda Lee Rose did. She was the youngest ever correspondent. Her sister, who's a lot younger than her, is now her sister's about, I don't know, 6, and she's now a junior reporter as well. But Linda Lee went to Gallifrey One and went through every Doctor and spoke to fans, and she was tidgy.
I'd forgotten about Linda Lee Rose. I'd forgotten about those videos. They were so cute.
Yeah.
I remember finding those and just thinking it was hilarious and adorable. And then she was really good at kind of going up and talking to people, like
Confident.
and kind of I think because she was so cute and small that everyone just wanted to talk to her.
Yeah.
And she got some good questions out of them. And she was, you know, I don't know how much of that was kind of parent influence of just kind of ask this question, ask that, but you know, she was very good at asking questions and getting that. I don't know how old she must be now, if she was 4 when Asylum of the Daleks was coming out. So
she's left the Doctor Who scene now, is from what I can gather, is that she started, she released her own music. She released a song. Yeah, you know Coco Cabana, the song.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the whole copper incident with YouTube. She made us Coco Cabana but called it copper.
Wow. Well, I to be honest, I had not thought about her in about 4 years.
I mean,
Yeah.
every time I think of going out and interviewing people, I think, well, if she can do it, anyone can do it, because she got to stand on a chair and have a chit chat with Matt Smith, and got a hug off Matt Smith.
They were all really cute with her, like
Uh,
uh, you know, Jenna Coleman and
mm,
Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi, and yeah, I think
yeah,
every celebrity that she spoke to just seemed really cute.
yeah. She never met Jodie Whittaker, from what I can gather, but she used to work for a YouTube channel called
Mm.
BeyondTheMarquee.com, and then a dad, because it was a dad, because you could tell a dad then built her a TARDIS, built her own little set, and then made a review every episode of Doctor Who, which in the American accent. But now we're gonna go down to the final few questions. What is your favorite episode of Doctor Who of all time or as of recent?
Um, it has to be World Enough in Time and The Doctor Falls as a two-parter. I think nothing can really dethrone that as far as quality. I love it as a send-off to Stephen Moffat's era, to the 12th Doctor's era, to Bill, to Nardole, to Missy, to John Sims Master, a surprise send-off all those years later. I think that has to be my favorite, and that's why I gave it such a detailed review in last year. I think I don't know if there's another. I really like A Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
That's the best Christmas special, and yeah. What else? I'm just trying to think of a bit of breadth across the whole thing, because I know it's a very kind of Stephen Moffat, focused answer.
Is there
But
any classic Who? Is there any classic Who
I
that you
really like
like?
the Myth Makers. Has anyone ever
Yeah.
said that? It's great. It's really funny. I've watched the reconstruction of that. What else? Classic Who? Inferno, great. The Three Doctors, great.
The first ever episode. I can't remember exactly what that's called off the top of my head at the moment, but that's a fantastic episode.
Yeah, we've got some. There are just some great stories throughout
Yeah.
Classic Who, and I mean, I love the chase. I love that kind of ridiculously. I think the Daleks were, inverted commas, scary for a bit, and then by the time of the chase, I think they were just kind of fun fodder for kind of kickstarting an adventure. And having them chase, Ian, Barbara, the Doctor, Vicky, and then Stephen through time, was really fun. And you've got the Empire State Building, you've got all kinds of fun. There's a haunted house, and they leave Vicky behind accidentally, and it's so funny. And then she has to she has to hitch a ride, and then there's a robot doctor played by Edmund Warwick, and it's a great story. And there are just loads of those that I just, whenever I think about for more than a moment, I'm like, oh, I want to rewatch that.
I like the candy monster. I can't remember exactly what he's called, but it's the monster that's made out of like lollipops and
Yes,
another
the Candyman. He's incredibly creepy. I don't know. I mean, there are
lollipop children.
anything with kind of small circles and just kind of weird detail like that they then call a face just puts me on edge. I don't like it.
He could be best friends with the child catcher from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Yeah, I think anything like that is creepy to me. But I have to say, yeah. And then I think one of my favorite episodes of all Doctor Who anything is that first Trickster episode, Whatever Happened to Sarah Jane.
We need the tricksters to come back.
Absolutely.
That's a definite. We need Russell T Davies to do a guest spot just to write for the trickster. Teach whoever the next showrunner is how to write for the trickster. Get the bloke who played the trickster to come back, and we need a whole story about where his eyes went. We need to explanation where his eyes went.
Yeah, people need to know. We kind of, we're outraged about we've had 3 stories with him. He was referenced in Turn Left. We had the monks. We had all these other similar characters, and for some reason, we've never been given an explanation on what happened to the Trickster's eyeballs.
We need a Big Finish audio like Bessie. Bessie's getting her audio. We need something called the Trickster's Eyeballs, where it's like all you're listening to is nothing, and then the word eyeballs, and then the tricks are laughing, and then that's the end of the whole story.
I think it sounds great. I think
Yeah.
we're onto something there.
But have you heard that they're doing a Bessie audio drama? Because everyone I've spoken to, so when I spoke to Chris Chapman, who does the documentary, The Right to Little Bit for Big Finish, he hadn't heard of the Bessie audios, and he also agreed that it was a little bit odd that anyone would spend £10 on an audio of a car that can't even talk. It's not even a bum situation.
I think it sounds great. I mean, it's weird and it sounds bad, but also I'm incredibly intrigued by.
Get it on vinyl, in a yellow vinyl.
Yellow vinyl.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Bessie. I think it's bizarre that Bessie has not made a return in Doctor Who. I
don't think Bessie's road safe, so we have to stick. I want Bessie to drive as my first ever car, but road safety is the first thing you have to think about.
They should just drag Bessie by a rope along a road and just put Jodie Whittaker in it.
Or attach it to the TARDIS as the TARDIS flying Bessie.
Yeah,
the companion that is starting Bessie. So singing along to Duran Duran.
No, I think that would be really fun. I think, yeah, I don't know. I'm surprised Mark Gatiss never brought back Bessie, or Russell T Davies probably would have. For Unit, it's just strange because it just feels like such an iconic and relatively easy thing that you'd be able to do.
Unit were more like the army. With a New Who, Unit had cars that were more army. If I like the original Unit was more army, these were more like American type army things.
Yeah.
So you see with the FBI, the CIA, the NCI.
Yeah, they're like kind of special operative kind of soldiers.
Line of duty a lot. But my final question to you, to wrap up this amazing interview, which has probably been an hour, but I never know until I've edited these things, is what do you think of the director of Loki being the showrunner? Because that's been rumoured.
So Kate Herron was the director of Loki, wasn't she? I think she would do a great job. I think I don't necessarily think that there are as many similarities between Loki and Doctor Who as a lot of people say. I think they are wildly different shows. However, as far as vibes and ability to tell the story, I know there are a lot of writers on Loki who were not Kate Herron, but as far as a director goes, apparently she brought a lot creatively to that project. I think she'd be great. I think I think it should be a fresh new voice. If that was the direction that they wanted the show to be taken, I'm sure she would take it in a great one.
Because I've heard an interview she did with Jack, who was in a YouTube group called Jack and D.
Jack Howard.
Yeah, Jack Howard. She did an interview with him, or he did an interview with her, and they did it, and they did it, and I really want to interview her, and I've tried to message her on Vimeo because she has a message window open on Vimeo, and I tried to message her on Twitter because what it was I am one of those people that sort of ruined a TV show for my family because I tell them how they filmed that because I know exactly how they film it, and she'd be really interested to talk about because when she was interviewed by Jack Howard, what happened was he messaged her and them two just met up for a drink because he said he wanted to be a director and they met up and she's one of those people that will probably, because she's not got back to me in any form, as actually sat down with someone and said, well, this is what I've done. What's your ambition? And this is how I've done this. And then there'd be an interesting to talk to a director about what they would. And then I could ask her whether she would be on Doctor Who and what her vision would be. Because the other person that's been rumored that I hate the sound of is the bloke that created Babylon 5. Now, I don't like Babylon 5. It's Battlestar Galactica and Stargate SVG and Stargate Atlantis are better than Babylon 5. So would you think he would be a good
I don't know much about Babylon 5. I've not heard those rumors at all. But
I'm
I
on a load
think,
of Doctor Who. I'm on every Doctor Who Facebook room you can think of. They're all whittling on about the Babylon 5 creator. If you Google it, the Google says the next Doctor will be Rosie Matafeo, and which is new, or Jodie Comer, or and they're coming up with names and that isn't just Chris Marshall.
I mean, that's at least they've got some more unique ideas.
Yeah,
I mean, I think what I want from a showrunner is just someone who strikes the right vibe, the right feel of the show. You know, the balance between the fun and the serious, I think, is something that Chris Chibnall has not done wonderfully. I think it's very much serious, 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 joke, serious, serious, joke. And then, like, I think that can make the fun quite tricky. Whereas I think Stephen Moffat and Russell T Davies were able to weave in the comedy and the dialogue and everything and the threat all as one big product. And I think I just want someone to not do exactly what they did, because Moffat and Davies, they did very, very different things when they were running the show. But I think they need to strike whoever it is needs to strike a balance similar to that, but obviously bring their own spice to the equation. Yeah.
And now to wrap off this interview, who are the top 3 people you would want to see as an incarnation of the Doctor? Name 3 people, if there's any 3.
Let me think.
Don't see yourself.
I've seen some good suggestions recently, but as soon as you ask that question, they have all left my head.
Well, Jodie Comer's ones has been cropping up, and people on Reddit have been making like fan art of what her Doctor would look like.
I mean, it's a bit of a cop out. I think Jo Martin, who has already played the Doctor, I think she deserves a chance to play the Doctor properly in a series.
Well, we might find out if that's the case in the next series, because they haven't properly explained who she is.
No, exactly. But I think it would be a shame to waste that incarnation on like a cameo here, a cameo there, a cameo there. I think it would be a lot nicer for the show going forward to give her a chance to be that incarnation as an actual Doctor.
Yeah.
As far as other actors and performers go, I
wouldn't think Jimmy Carr's the one that comes to my mind, but I think he'd be awful as the Doctor.
I think was Patterson Joseph would be great. I think he would be really strong. Who else? I mean, I wanted to say, I think Anthony Stewart Head from Merlin and Buffy and Doctor Who School Reunion. He played the Krillitane Man. I think he'd be really good. I think there aren't many roles in Doctor Who that he wouldn't do really well. I think he'd be a fantastic master. But there's in his older age, I'm seeing him a lot more as a kind of
old man.
I think he'd be a great Doctor. I think he would bring a lot to the show. I don't think it will ever happen. I don't think he is the direction that the show will ever want to take.
I think he's busy because he's in Ted Lasso at the moment.
Is he?
Yeah, he plays a husband. He plays a husband who used to own the football club that the show's based around.
Oh, right. Well, I may have to check that out. I've been meaning to check that out anyway. But I think... Are there any? Because I'd really like the next Doctor to be a woman, regardless of who they pick. I think a female Doctor is an important thing for 14 to be.
Dave Patel's been popping up.
I know. I've seen a few here and there. I saw a suggestion the other day, and I thought I'd never considered it, but they'd be fantastic. And it's completely left my head. I think 15 years ago, Miriam Margolyes would have done a great job. But I think
no. I've seen her in interviews. No, she would. She's one of those people that they'll have to cut half the things she said, because she's one of those people that in an interview on This Morning they have to keep her under control, because she'll literally just say what the first thing that pops into her brain, whether that's inappropriate or not.
I think she's wonderful. I mean, she's quite rude, and maybe not the best ambassador for the show. But
Judi Dench, Dame Judi Dench.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't think this is something that Jodie Whittaker has, which is, but I think you need that kind of commanding kind of energy
Yeah.
that a lot of performers that I see thrown around, they have. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
they could do it. They have that. Jodie, I just don't think she has it. I don't think she can grab you and hold
Yeah.
the scene and make you pay attention to her.
Yeah.
And I wish she did, and I hope she does going forward. I hope series 13
Yeah.
that I start to see that in her. But whoever comes next, I hope that's something they prioritize.
I reckon this is just a wild thought. There's someone we could have a new direction for the show, and it could be like the Doctor regenerates, but because they've regenerated so many times, this regeneration has gone wrong. We could have a young, like 12-year-old actor or one of the young actors, and it could be like the Doctor's act, like, and the whole series is about trying to work out how to regenerate back into someone older. And it'd be like a mini series, it'd be like a mini series. So it'd be like the Doctor Who, and then it'd be like Doctor Who again, but it'd be the same show. It'll just be like a small run where it's like it's a whole trying to work out how to do it.
I think you'd have to. It's one of those things where you're putting a lot of faith there in a very young actor, and a lot of the time they are not. There aren't people who could do that, and you'd have to get someone who was really good at a young age, like someone with that spark, that energy, obviously that youthful energy as well. But you've kind of, it would run the risk of being really annoying, and I want to say facetious, but I don't think that's what that word means. Maybe precocious.
Yeah.
I think that's probably what I mean. But I think it's a fun idea, and I'd like to see something like that as an experiment. But it could go very wrong.
Would you be able to name any child actors that you think would be a good suit? Is there any that pop into your head?
I have a friend who's a child actor, but he's slowly getting older, and he's not a child anymore. So he would have been great. He would have been great 10 years ago.
He's just
But
an actor.
yeah, no, he must be an adult now. But no, not really. I mean, in the US, there's what's his name? Jason Jacob Tremblay. He's a fantastic young actor.
Yeah.
No idea how old he is anymore. Probably not a young actor. This is like
the child that plays young Sheldon. If we're going American, I think the child that plays young Sheldon would be a good fit.
Yeah. I think you need someone with that kind of wisdom beyond their years, kind of thing. I mean, I hate to bring it back to Loki, but whoever played Kid Loki in that episode was good,
Yes.
and he wasn't. I think it really could have been annoying. It really could have been annoying, but it wasn't. And I think there's your choice. There's your pick there.
Well, I reckon some fan out there that has the budget needs to work out who the actor is, find the agent, ask him if they want to do it. Someone needs to make a fan series of it, and then we need to see whether or not if it does work, send it through, email the BBC and go, we made this as a test. We think it would really work as a mini series, mini 6 episodes. Just whilst you're finding the next actor, have a chat, have this person in it.
And what you could do as a safety is, have the adult Doctor lie down on the TARDIS floor, regenerate, cut to credits, and then the next series with the child starts. The Doctor's on the floor regenerating, and is suddenly a child. And then at the end of that series, they get back on the floor of the TARDIS. They start to regenerate, credits roll. And then if you don't like it, you could just pretend it didn't happen, because, that series ends with the Doctor, lying on the TARDIS floor and regenerating. And the next series starts with the Doctor as a new face. You can ignore all the stuff in the middle if you want to.
Yeah. But I think if it's not a good idea for TV, I think it could be worth either a fan film or a fan audio where you work out what circumstance would cause the Doctor to have so much trauma and accidentally regenerate into a small child. Because it could happen, because you don't know. Like no one ever thought that the Doctor could regenerate into a woman. No one ever thought that.
No, it's true.
Because it was never possible. It was never something that we thought of. But then
nothing is possible. Nothing is canon until it happens, I guess.
Yeah.
I think that about Star Wars. Every time there's a new force power, it's like, but every force power has been introduced in one movie, and it's like,
Yeah.
that just, you've got to build on things and you've got to introduce new things. And although it may not be canon yet, that's only because it's not been done yet.
Yeah.
So yeah,
because I think we need a Doctor Who multiverse. I reckon what will happen is, because I've read this somewhere before, I reckon Marvel will end up buying the rights to Doctor Who in the future, and because of the whole multi-universes, they'll just slot Doctor Who right into the MCU.
I mean, I can see it happening. I know the BBC have some kind of, they have a decent relationship with Disney.
Yeah.
I think Disney XD showed David Tennant
They did.
for a bit. There were
They showed the K9, K9 spin-off.
There were talks of Doctor Who maybe going to Disney Plus. I don't know if they were just rumors, but I think maybe that was before BritBox kind of became the place. But I don't know. I think it's not something I really want to happen, but it's something that I can see happening.
Because I've read somewhere that some of the comics were made by Marvel, some of the Doctor Who ones, because Transformers is Marvel. So in the Transformers films, in the live action, the little cube thing they run after is apparently the Tesseract. So anything's possible within Marvel.
I guess, I think at some point Disney will own everything and everyone can cross over. I mean, Warner Brothers, they don't have the reputation for owning everything, but they will also take any opportunity they can to throw everything into one project, like Space Jam or Ready Player One or
Riverdale.
Lego Dimensions, because that was just like Wizard of Oz, Back to the Future, Lego movie. They put Doctor Who in that. And I say that with my Lego Dimensions collection just slightly out of shot here, because I've been playing that recently.
Yeah, I love Lego Dimensions because you get to build more Doctor Who, and you get to listen to Peter Capaldi do a voice, or it could have been Jake Dunman who does the short stories.
Yeah, I mean, Peter Capaldi's really good in that episode, in that game. He even does the "this is the TARDIS, this is my ship" thing, and it was the first time he did it because his first companion was Clara, and he had no reason to introduce a companion to the TARDIS until Bill. So actually, the first time he got that great Doctor moment was when he was introducing Wild Style, Gandalf, and Batman to the TARDIS, which I find really funny.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on to my podcast.
Thank you for having me.
And just before we leave this episode, I do like to say, if you are listening to this on Apple Podcasts, I am so sorry, not because of Apple being rubbish or anything. I love Apple Podcasts, but the issue is the logo. Now, if you're listening to this, you'll know what I'm on about more than if you're watching this. I updated the logo twice now. Over on SoundCloud, it updated immediately on Spotify, but has not updated over on Apple Podcasts. I have emailed them. I have tagged them in on my Facebook page for this podcast. But hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will be back with more discussions on by myself and more Doctor Who videos in the future. But as you know, I run 8 YouTube channels, so there might be a new third channel video on Thursday. Keep your eye out. But hopefully, I'll be able to get another interviewee onto this podcast after Joe, because I really enjoyed chatting with Doctor Who fans, YouTubers, and people working on the show. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I've been your host, Time Lord Tom, and that's been Joe Brennan. Time Lord Tom out. Bye. Bye.